Well, hello, and welcome to another lesson of the Focus on GraphCMS course. I'm Marcelo Lewin, as always, the Headless Creator. Feel free to get a hold of me, Marcelo, at headlesscreator.com. Today, we have a special guest. His name is Jamie Barton. He's the head of DevRel at GraphCMS, and he's going to show us how to install, configure, and manage the Gatsby source plugin. But as you guys know, as always, before we get started, for those of you that aren't familiar with headlesscreator.com, this is it. Go there, headlesscreator.com. Feel free to register. It's a free registration. And thank you to our supporters, including GraphCMS, for supporting the site and keeping all of the education there free. I really appreciate it. So go there, feel free to register. Once you register, this lesson will appear there as on demand. When you go to courses, all courses, and then just select the Focus on GraphCMS course, you will see it there, and then you'll find this lesson under developers right here where it says coming 5.6, that's today. You'll see it right there. Also, we have a bonus material where you'll get the GitHub repo, a link to it. You'll get it there. So go ahead and register today, and plus on top of that, of course, you'll have access to all the other courses, including my Content Modeling Weekly course, which regardless of which CMS you work on, all headless CMSs require content modeling, and I do a weekly lesson there to teach you how to create scalable content models. Alrighty. Well, as you are aware of how I handle this, that was the live version. Now we're going to restart the intro here for the on-demand version, because the on-demand version has no marketing of my site or anything, because obviously you're watching it on my site already. So I will be back in just 1 minute, and we'll start. Well, hello, and welcome to another lesson of the Focus on GraphCMS course. I'm Marcelo Lewin, the Headless Creator. As always, you can get a hold of me, Marcelo, at headlesscreator.com. I will answer any questions. Well, not any question, but anything related to headless CMSs. Feel free to email me anytime. I usually will get back to you pretty quickly. Today I have a very special guest. His name is Jamie Barton. He's the head of DevRel at GraphCMS, and he's going to show us how to install, configure, and manage the Gatsby source plugin. I'm not going to tell you anything else about Jamie because I'm just going to let him do that. I'm going to invite him in. Jamie,
hey,
welcome.
How's it going? Thanks for inviting me today.
Great to have you here. Thank you so much for being here. Now you are in, is it England?
Correct, yeah, in the northeast of England.
In the northeast of England. I love it. Here I'm in Southern California. The internet is awesome. We get to connect with people all around the world. So I always like people to get to know you a little bit. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, you know, how did you get into development?
Yeah, so I've been a developer for most of my life, I think. Grown up very young, toying with computers, and then through my teenage years working with code and writing code, learning how to build websites, and then sort of over the last sort of 10 years or so have been focusing more on headless APIs. So I've worked as a software engineer, and now I spend my time at GraphCMS working to improve the developer experience, which includes creating documentation, creating examples, creating video content, and joining wonderful folks like you on streams like this today.
Very cool. How did you get into DevRel? I mean, what made you go into that?
I really like, well, one of the things I found quite difficult way back when was understanding how to use tools. Sometimes it was just documentation and you were just left to go and do it. And then it very slowly became apparent that the more examples there are, the more open source examples and tutorials there are, that really does help people kind of on board with products and get to learn how to use them. So I've kind of found a huge interest of my own was to create this content and create those examples and boilerplates and reference applications. That's something I enjoy doing because you see people using products and much faster in a much faster way by being able to reference all of these. And I just enjoyed creating that content than just kind of working on a product day in, day out. I really like kind of seeing the expression and the experience of all developers using tools.
And it is very different than just developing, right? Because that's pretty much a loner in general, right? Once you start coding, you're on your own kind of
Yeah.
thing. And then what you're doing is really with community and very people oriented, right?
Absolutely, and you get to see some wonderful projects as well that people are working on, from large enterprises to small individuals, freelancers, agencies. You get to see a vast amount of projects that they work on, which is really interesting. Which keeps me interested in getting
Right.
up every morning.
Right, exactly. Yeah, totally. All right, cool. So I end my interviews always with something very personal. Well, not very personal, but personal enough. Um, as you can tell, I'm a movie buff. But instead of asking you what's your favorite movie, what's your favorite like TV show?
Um, I'm probably just going to say Arrow. I don't know how familiar you are with Arrow.
The
Arrow
Green
and
Arrow.
Flash.
Yeah.
The Green Arrow, yeah. The
Yeah.
whole Arrow and Flash I watched every week.
We watched
Oh, yeah,
Arrow for a long time until he said, "I'm no longer the Arrow. I am the Green Arrow." Like, whoa, big difference now.
yeah. I really enjoyed that. Me and my wife enjoyed watching that. It was great.
Yeah, Flash is good too. Yeah.
And my
Per-
my my daughter, my daughter's called Felicity. So
oh, okay.
we got the name really Felicity from
Oh, you're
Felicity
a big
Smoke.
fan for real.
We didn't name it
Totally.
after her, but once we heard the name, we're like, that's the name we're gonna choose.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's it. Okay, cool. Well, you guys probably cosplay then, right?
yeah.
You do? Yeah. There you go. Okay, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and share your screen now. I'll let you take over. If people have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. I'll ask Jamie those questions. Jamie, I'll ask you questions if I come up with any as well. Otherwise, I'm going to go on mute. It's all yours, bud.
Awesome. Thanks very much. So today we are going to be having a look at the GraphCMS Gatsby source plugin. And this was something that we've been working on for a long time. Previously, when you get started with Gatsby and you're using a GraphQL database or a CMS, there was the Gatsby source GraphQL plugin that a lot of people used. However, over the last few years, it's become apparent that that kind of limits you in using some of the advanced Gatsby features, such as the Gatsby Cloud incremental builds and things like the new Gatsby image. It's nearly impossible to cache data because of the way that the source plugin for GraphQL works. So having a bespoke plugin, we can take care of all of that for you, and you can leverage all of the benefits of some of the new things that Gatsby offers today. So I thought today would be interesting to have a look at the Gatsby plugin and getting it set up inside of a new Gatsby project. So it doesn't matter how familiar you are with Gatsby or with GraphCMS rather. What we'll do here is we'll install the plugin and we'll grab some sample data from GraphCMS. So I just kind of want to give this very high level overview of what we're going to be doing today in the form of a graphic here. Essentially the way that Gatsby works is ultimately you end with this data layer that you can query content through. And then from here, that would then query the Gatsby cache. And then when you build the site, Gatsby will grab all of the information from whatever database or backend or CMS you use and add that to its cache. So you make a query through GraphQL when you're building pages, that talks to Gatsby, and Gatsby ultimately talks to a database. So that's how that works. So we'll see